This is the Speak for Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. It's our favorite day, folks, Taco Tuesday. I'm out here in LA. We got the NBA draft lottery, everything riding on it for the Lakers. Game 2, Warriors-Spurs tonight. Gosh, I'm stoked. Let's get you started. Whitlock has to take the superstar tag away from John Wall after failing to get to the conference finals with last night's Game 7 loss. Question, Whitlock, he was a superstar? I didn't know that. Cowherd takes issue with the Lakers drafting Lonzo Ball with an immature locker room. NBA analyst Chris Broussard disagrees. He says, forget what happened a couple months ago. De'Aaron Fox should not be drafted ahead of Lonzo Ball. We talk about if Tom Brady can play until he's 45, and Colin Kaepernick in Seattle. Will the NFL like that? That's a legitimate question. Ready for Speak for Yourself? Cowherd and Whitlock, take it away.
Welcome to the show. We'll tell you why Colin Kaepernick just made it even harder for himself to find a new job.
And why Lonzo Ball should have no shot at being the #1 pick. Broussard, Speak for Yourself starts now.
I think I agree with you on that.
Hey, I called an NBA scout last night. I can't wait to deliver this.
Dennis Smith Jr., best guard in the draft. That's what I heard. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and NBA champion Eddie House. Let's start in Boston, where the Celtics took down the Wizards in a tight Game 7 last night. Kelly Olynyk was the unlikely hero for Boston with 26 points off the bench, including 14 in the fourth quarter. Woo. Meanwhile, the hero of Game 6, John Wall, disappeared down the stretch, missing his final 11 shots as the game slipped away from the Wizards. Here's Wall on his disappointing night.
Only other way I can really process is I wish I would have played better. Other than that, we had a heck of a season, heck of a series. This something we could look as motivation, but other than that, it's kind of tough to think about it right now.
I'm more disappointed we lost more than anything. You know, I don't care how well I played. I hate losing. You know, especially when we felt like we were the better team. But, you know, you credit them because they played their tails off each and every game. You know, they competed their butts off, but this definitely hurts the most. You know, we put ourselves in a great opportunity, a great situation in that Game 6, and, you know, we got to do a better job of closing it out.
All right, Colin, that's Wall and Beal. They're two stars. One of them played big. John Wall did not. Do you blame John Wall?
Well, they were up 6. He went into the tank, and they were suddenly down 10. And at that very time, Isaiah Thomas played his best basketball of the night. I thought it was an interesting game within a game. I thought John was very patient for the first half. He let the game come to him. He looked like a veteran player waiting to strike. And I thought Isaiah Thomas was off in the first half, fell a few times, was pushing stuff. But this is where legends are made. And he's truly a wizard. He made himself disappear. I mean, you can't deny. None of you watched that game, and in that last 7 minutes, you all thought the same thing. I thought he was. I thought the moment was too big for him at the end. I really did.
I didn't take your call because I knew you were going to say that. You called me after the game.
I did, and you wouldn't take my call.
I wouldn't take your call because I was watching something on Netflix. But also, also at the end, no, I watched the entire game. Listen. You can blame John Wall. He's superstar or wannabe superstar, should have played better. Their defense was atrocious.
Gortat was awful.
They shot 58%, Boston did, from the field. They let Kelly Olynyk run wild. Markieff Morris and Gortat were clueless. I tweeted out early in the game in the first half, Boston's getting layups and easy buckets, and Washington's knocking down miracle shots. That's not going to last forever. Their defense and their bench that produced 1 field goal last night on a night when Boston's bench produced 17, I blame that.
I'm going to give John Wall some of the blame, but I'm also going to give some of the blame to Scott Brooks. He had John Wall on Isaiah Thomas the whole game. And we know the type of game that Boston plays, and that's dribble handoffs, a lot of pick and rolls. Yeah. And when you have to guard Isaiah Thomas, it's not that one action, it's another action on top of another action. They're always trying to get him to his left hand. And I think that wore John Wall down late in the game. And the first thing that goes when your legs go is your jump shot. And John Wall is not a knockdown shooter, number one. So when your legs go and you're not a knockdown shooter, you're definitely not going to make shots and you're going to miss shots. So I blame Scotty Brooks. Had 4 guys almost playing 40 minutes in that game. He did not trust his bench. Kelly Oubre doesn't get in. You could have took some time and let hide John Wall a little bit. Let him guard somebody that's not going to be in all these actions, and let Oubre maybe guard Isaiah Thomas. So I give it both of those guys the blame.
Look, I have to agree with a lot of what you said. Scott Brooks definitely deserves some blame. The bench, I get 5 points out of my bench. But when you're the face of the franchise, when you're the superstar, the star, you're going to get the lion's share of the blame. And if you would have told me before the game, I'm going to get 20 points from Otto Porter. I'm going to get 18 from Markieff Morris. I'm going to get 38 from Bradley Beal. I'm thinking I'm winning because I'm like, I can pencil in 25 from John Wall. I didn't get it. All those guys I mentioned shot well over 50%.
Yep.
And John was 8 for 23, missed his last 11 shots, 2 for 13.
115, Chris. They lost it on the other end.
The defense wasn't good, too, but he's a part of that, too. He's a part of the defense,
by the way,
too.
Take away John's three-point shot in Game 6. You know, he shot 9 for 25 in that game. I mean, you can't spin 0 for 11.
No.
Like, this is the way the world works.
Colin, take away 100 pounds from me, and I'm an adult film star. I don't need to take away the
To your point, Eddie, during the regular season, get this, John Wall shot 35% outside of 5 feet. He's, like you said, he's not a very good jump shooter. I give him credit for hitting that three-pointer at the end of Game 6. But to your point, now he's worn down a little. He's going to be even a worse jump shooter.
I thought this was a cautionary tale. Harden was out of gas. Westbrook was out of gas. Chris Paul, who I love, out of gas game. I think this is a cautionary tale. If you want to build around a young guy, a point guard, you better have a bench. Because Isaiah Thomas, to his credit,
they got a bench.
He can go into that fourth quarter being 26 minutes in. You cannot win in this league. John Wall, James Harden, Chris Paul, Westbrook, play him 42 minutes. This is, first of all, we grew up, it was a center league. Now it's a wing league. You're asking guys who are 6'2" and $190 to play a 7-game series in a league now. It's a track meet. These guys wear down.
And that graphic that you just showed is different from Isaiah Thomas because a lot of the time they're hiding Isaiah Thomas defensively.
Absolutely.
He doesn't have to guard the main guy on every play and then have to go back at the main guy every single play like those guys on that graphic. So he has that luxury, and he also has the luxury of an Avery Bradley and a Marcus Smart to take a lot of that pressure off of him. He's never in that situation defensively. He's always in the situation offensively, and that's why he has legs late in games and can knock down big shots.
All right, let's go to the draft lottery. I'm so jacked up for this. Tonight, before Game 2, Spurs-Warriors. I may like that more than the game. The most visible prospect in this year's draft, UCLA's Lonzo Ball, whose dad LeVar has been hyping as a top pick for months. But most experts rank other players like Markelle Fultz at Washington and De'Aaron Fox, Kentucky, ahead of Lonzo Ball. I do. And that's before you even consider all the baggage LeVar adds. Jason, is Ball worthy of the #1 pick?
Listen, for a moment I thought he was. Then I saw him play defense against Kentucky, and then his dad has just piled on. And his dad has created so much hype that now I'm starting to think the kid's a little overhyped. And I'm a little bit concerned that there are better players, but all the attention, because we only get to see these guys for a brief moment. They're all freshmen coming out of college. That we've overhyped him a bit, and maybe if we take a step back, some of these other players are more ready.
I called an NBA scout last night, somebody I deeply trust. I got 3 of them in my phone, but the one guy I trust, I called him, and I said, break it down. He said, let me tell you something. D'Angelo Russell don't want to play D. He goes, Lonzo Ball in this pick-and-roll league is going to get eaten alive. And we have a stat. He is a poor college defender. If you look at the top point guards and the top guards he played this year, they went off on him. Okay, the NBA is not 36 games of regional travel. Jason, it's 82 of national travel. And every guy you play, you end up in the West. Who's the worst point in the West? Ricky Rubio?
But who in the West is defending anyway other than Chris Paul? Among guards, Damian Lillard's not shutting anybody down.
But Damian Lillard can torch you on the other side offensively.
Look, there are better individual players than Lonzo Ball in this draft. If you want to play him against Markelle Fultz one-on-one, I think Fultz eats him up. But for a team, this guy, in my view, is a winner. He makes everybody better. That UCLA team won 15 games last year. He took them to 31 wins. And you want to say, oh, they got TJ Leaf, who's going to be, at best, he might be Kelly Olynyk. Exactly. At best, he's Kelly Olynyk. At best. Okay. EK, the other guy that's going to get drafted in lottery, averaged 5 points a game. Okay. This guy is a winner. Jason Kidd was like that. Magic Johnson obviously was much better than Lonzo Ball, but that type of game where I just want to make everybody better. If the Lakers draft Markelle Fultz, that's another great young individual talent who's going to get his. Maybe at the expense of Russell, maybe at the expense of Brandon Ingram, but he's going to do his thing individually. You bring in Lonzo Ball, he's making Ingram better, he's making Russell better, he's making Julius Randle better. I think that's the type of player he is. So to me, definitely worthy of number one.
If you have the number one pick, you cannot pass on a guy like this, and this is the reason. He's a generational type player. I've played with Jason Kidd. No, it's not hype-wise. He passes the eye test to me. I've seen him play in high school, right, in the state semifinals, and he manipulated the pick and roll. The scout was talking about how he's have trouble with the pick and roll. He manipulated the pick and roll so good. He could leave right now and play. He'd have left high school and been a top pick, a top 5 pick in last year's draft. Last year's draft was the worst draft ever anyway, number one. But he would have been a top pick in that draft, and I don't see why this year he's not going to be that. He passes guys almost like a quarterback. You know, that passes you open sometimes. You come off that screen, he'll pass you right open, and it's right on the money. It's not like it's late, it's not high, it's not low, and he's instantly going to make his team better. Everybody around him will get better, and that team will get better if you draft him wherever he goes.
Here's what I worry about is that this Laker team is kind of immature. There's concerns about Randall and Russell and their kids, and they have a young coach. I mean, now I get the circus Lonzo Ball.
He's not a circus. His dad is a circus.
Apples don't fall far from trees. We're not guaranteed the Lakers getting the top pick. Doesn't Boston have the best chance?
Phoenix, I can't wait to pair him with Devin Booker. If I'm Minnesota, I love him in Minnesota.
Boston have the best chance of getting the number one pick
over with the Suns.
Yep, exactly.
There's a lot of young talent over there.
Yeah, if I'm Boston, now they could use a good wing like a Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum. I still would probably take Ball because I think I can play him with Isaiah because he's big and he could guard twos.
You're acknowledging, though, in a game of one-on-one, he could get worse.
Exactly.
It's not one-on-one.
How many people would Magic Johnson have destroyed in one-on-one? A lot of people probably would have beat Magic in one-on-one, but he's one of the all-time top 5 players.
And the rules are not like how they were back when you were on an island, when they had the illegal defense. Now with the 2-9, it's more of a zoning, double team. So you never get into one-on-one action unless you're in transition.
Quickly. Why are both of you completely unconcerned about the father and his influence?
Because I don't think that the father is the one playing, and I don't think he's going to influence the way Lonzo plays. He hasn't at this point.
You don't think he's going to make him a bigger target?
No. Bigger target for who? He's already going to be a big target. As soon as he steps on that court, they want to see what Lonzo Ball, can he play? Can this boy ball?
You're not concerned about that Kentucky kid dropping 39 on him?
Look, I like De'Aaron Fox. There's no way I would take him over Lonzo Ball.
Not at all.
He can't shoot.
The question.
He can't
that game
shoot.
didn't raise questions for you.
Boy, that was ugly.
But Kentucky, think about the guys Kentucky had on their team. Malik Monk, Bam Adebayo. They have some guys that are going to be top picks, too. And their top picks are better than UCLA's top picks.
Every top college guard that he faced ate his lunch.
I'll give you this. Lonzo Ball, I don't think can take over a game offensively. Now, he can shoot. He's not Ricky Rubio. He can shoot. Open threes, create a little bit with his step back, shoot a three. He's not going to go off the dribble, though, and just pull off a mid-range jump because of that form. So that's where, against Kentucky, he couldn't take it over.
Defensively, Chris.
Man, you draft role players for defense. You don't draft great franchise players for defense. LeBron James couldn't play defense when he entered the league.
The fact that he's going to be a liability on defense, no concern.
I don't think he's that much of a liability on defense.
Is Kyrie Irving a liability on defense?
A little bit. All right, welcome back. Super Bowl champ Eric Davis. Always the best-dressed guy in the set. Sorry, Whitlock. Founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to the National Football League, where the seemingly ageless Tom Brady, once again insisted he's not even close to being done. The almost 40-year-old is fresh off another Super Bowl, played great late too, and still claims he hopes to play until he's at least 45. saying, quote, listen, I always said my mid-40s, and naturally, that means around 45. If I get there and I still feel like I do today, I don't see why I wouldn't want to continue. At some point, everybody moves on. Some people don't do it on their terms. I feel like I want to be on my terms. Whitlock, when you hear that, is it the right mindset for Brady?
He said, if I want to do it on my own terms, then he needs to be thinking about 1 year at a time. Because if he tries to play until he's 45, it will not be on his own terms. Again, he's got 5 Super Bowls. He might have a chance of getting 6 this year. They're going to be heavy favorites. I think he needs to understand that at some point he's putting the Patriots in a bad spot. If I'm the Patriots, I don't want a 45-year-old quarterback. I don't care how great he is.
Cal Ripken did a little bit of this at the end of his baseball career.
Yes.
They wanted to move him to third, and he wanted that shortstop record. I think he still functions at a high level. Let me just say this, not to go too Deepak Chopra, but optimism's optimism's a powerful thing, and so is cynicism. There is a value to Tom's overly optimistic point of view because I do think he sort of carries the team narrative. And Tom is we're down at half. Guys, it's almost corny. Tom is almost corny in his optimism. And I do think in a league with violence and injuries and attrition, Tom creates sort of an optimistic approach that I think bleeds to the rest of the team.
Kind of LeVar Ball-ish, is it not? No, but guys, honestly, there is another person out there right now doing things that we never thought was possible. I definitely think Tom Brady can play to 45. Look what LeBron's doing at 32. We didn't think with the amount of minutes he's playing at this age.
He's got a lot of minutes.
And you were saying on your show today. Hold on, Whitlock. You were saying on your show today that maybe LeBron goes to 5 more NBA Finals, okay? That he has the people around him, very health conscious.
32 ain't 45.
Whitlock, I got a guy who's been on the set of commercials with LeBron. He said LeBron has a LeBron-tourage. The guy gets a massage every day. He doesn't eat an apple without getting it signed off by his health people.
We've seen 32
and 35. You're right. I was playing at 32. I couldn't play at 45. But now, what Tom Brady is special, and I played with a special guy, Jerry Rice. When my first year in the league was Jerry's 5th year. And I remember one day early in my career asking him how long did he plan on playing. And he said, well, I'm going to play 15. He said, I'll play 15, and then I'll think about it from that. And I was just thinking, man, if I can get 5 games in, he was thinking 15 years down the road. Year 10, like 5 years later, I asked him that same question. And he said, you know what, I'm thinking I'll play 15 more. And then I'll see how I feel when I get to there. I'm saying that Tom is one of those guys that football, same with Jerry, we always worried how Jerry was going to be when football was over, because that's all it defined his life. Football defines Tom's life. Is Tom going to play until he's 45? No. Do I understand him saying, I want to be here until 45? Yes. It also keeps pressure on the Pats with their new deal for Garoppolo.
One of the reasons, though, let me take the LeBron thing. One of the things that's helped LeBron age well, not only nutrition.
He's 32, man.
I know, but he's got 50,000 minutes.
NBA players.
But in the NBA, it's not about years; it's about minutes. He's got 50,000 minutes. Nobody's been this good at 50,000 minutes. No one's had career highs, assists, rebounds, minutes.
He's getting better.
I mean, literally, you could argue this is his most efficient year he's ever had in his life. But what's made him better is the super team. The mobility of the pro athlete in the NBA has allowed him to play with better players. I want Darren Williams. I want Channing Frye. So LeBron has moments where he can step back.
Well, I also think a part of it that has made it better.
The NFL's a bubble league. Brady doesn't throw deep anymore.
Look at that system.
You can play longer now because athletes are understanding how to take care of themselves as well. That has a lot to do with it. You look at how Magic and Jordan and all of those guys, how they pounded their bodies in the offseason. You don't get as much of that, so that has a lot to do with it. Tom Brady hasn't had a lot of injuries throughout his career. No. He doesn't get hit a lot.
Had a knee injury. He plays quarterback. You are going to get hit in this league.
Well, it's not even going. Right. I don't think Tom Brady is going to get removed from New England because of his body falling apart. They have to sign Garoppolo to a big deal, and that's what's going to get him out of there. He'll be able to play 45 for somewhere else.
And I love the Super Bowl performance. I loved it. But for 3 quarters, the guy looked old and washed up.
He did.
And everybody knew it. And it's great that he had a nice little hot streak at the end, and that does prove he could call upon his reserve energies and play at a high level. But I guarantee you moving forward, he'll be an inch closer to the guy we saw for those 3 quarters than the guy we saw in the final quarter of that game, who orchestrated that miraculous comeback. Again, we don't have to go to LeBron. We can go through all our human history. Father Time is undefeated. It will catch up with him. And playing that position in a contact sport, and I do agree with you. You've won me in terms of it's probably the right mindset. Jerry Rice had it. A lot of the people that are obsessed with one thing have that. And it probably, maybe thinking I'm going to play till 45 helps him play harder and longer at age 40. Get it. But 45 ain't 32. To Colin Kaepernick, Sports Illustrated's Peter King said yesterday the Seahawks would be a good landing spot for Cap, and it looks like Pete Carroll might actually agree. When Carroll was asked if Seattle is considering out-of-work quarterbacks like Kaepernick and RG3 as possible backups, Carroll said, quote, yes, we're looking at all those guys. Here's Seattle's Michael Bennett on the idea of having Cap as a teammate.
I think he'll be a very good fit in our locker room. I don't know why he wouldn't. I think we all talk about the same issues. It's just that he had the courage to be able to step up and not look at it. And I think if you look at the way that the world's going, people don't want athletes to start speaking up because athletes are the ones who control a lot of the products, who control a lot of the change. So if we start speaking up, then the world's going to be a lot different.
Colin, everything I've heard during the season, after the season, Seattle wants Colin Kaepernick. Their players do. Peter King's writing about it. Seattle's considering it. Good fit?
Well, I think it's probably the best fit. You ever been to Phoenix in August? There's nothing perfect you can wear. Stay inside. But if you had to wear something, it would be SPF 90, a hat. Like, I look at Kaepernick and I'm like, he's running out of liberal cities. San Francisco, Seattle. You know what I mean? Unless Vermont joins the league, he's running out of liberal cities. But I would say this, when I read Peter King's article and I'm like, he lines it up right. I mean, Paul Allen tends to be, of all the NFL owners, kind of the most iconoclastic. Pete Carroll's kind of live and let live guy. They've rolled the dice on people. They have outspoken players. I always go back to this. He's had Harbaugh and Chip Kelly, and he's completed 59% of his throws. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. Seattle's probably the best fit.
Backup position for Russell Wilson, maybe a guy he can connect with. Both of them have struggled a little bit identity-wise.
Yeah.
There was a knock on Russell Wilson, not black enough. There's a knock on Cap. He's pretending to be too black. Perhaps they can get together and counsel each other and meet in the middle. And so, Richard Sherman, it's like they want to take on the challenge. It's like, to me, this is from Michael Bennett to Richard Sherman. They want to take on the challenge of we're the guys that supported Kaepernick. Have at it.
I was the 49ers announcer for 3 years, play-by-play and color guy, and I'm talking about Cap more now than I did then. Okay? I said in March, sitting in that chair, I said in March that Seattle is a team that I thought would be a good team for him. Why? Because beyond the liberal city and all of those things, I said it's going to be a team that has aspirations of going deep, and you have to have a backup quarterback that can play. Think about it. Seattle has played against him a lot of times. He's beaten them. They know what he can do, what he can't do, and you think about the offense that they run, he is a guy that can come in and back up Russell Wilson and play within the confines of that offense. The way they move him around, the things you ask him to do, rely on your defense and your run game. That's what he was successful with in San Francisco. So I said before, it's a good fit.
By the way, Seattle,
and that backup keeps getting in trouble with Seattle.
Seattle does not have a backup.
Wilson
they don't.
Hasn't missed a game in 5 years. But I do want to say I will agree that he's a good fit in Seattle. But, guys, I got to ask you. Does the league like this? Seattle's on TV almost every week. We're coming off a season where there was a lot of chatter about ratings allegedly being down because of the Eric, I know, because of the kneeling and the protests. Is the league going to be on board with this? I don't have the answer to that yet, but it will be interesting because they're on a lot of primetime games.
I always felt the one team that could take Tebow. I mean, remember when Tebow was, chanting his name, they brought in Peyton Manning. Well, the reason they brought in Peyton Manning was suddenly nobody cared about Tim Tebow. You had to bring in a rock star. Russell Wilson's got a Super Bowl. He's kind of in Seattle.
He's the quarterback.
I mean, he's not just a quarterback. He is beloved. I think Seattle can withstand Kaepernick if it did go sideways.
I think you make a good point. I think Jason makes an interesting point in terms of if I'm broadcasting Seattle games and they're on TV a lot, do I want to have to spend time talking about the backup quarterback and all that? So maybe the league has a little bit of a concern.
You're going to find him. You know
in fairness,
you
Jason,
don't have to spend time talking about the backup quarterback. You don't. That's a
all the
choice.
media does, though.
But
That's
remember,
all they do.
in fairness to Kaepernick, I could be wrong on this, he said he's not going to kneel.
Yes.
So, you know, by week 2, if he's not kneeling and not playing, and Seattle's winning...
He's not going to kneel, but he's going to throw a black fist up. No, he's going to throw a T-shirt on that says Fidel Castro, Muhammad Ali.
No one has T-shirts on the sideline at a football game. You have on uniforms, okay? He's a backup quarterback.
The media is going to want to hear from Colin Kaepernick.
You can't go out in post-game and have on just whatever apparel you want to. You get fined. You have to play. You have to wear NFL-issued stuff for the post-conferences. You can't do that. It's not the way it works in the NFL. They tell you what to wear, when to wear it, and what we want to see.
Castro, so maybe that's NFL approval. All right, welcome back. Chris Broussard and Eddie Helms are back with us. Let's return to the NBA and the Western Conference Finals, where there's been no shortage of drama so far, with Kawhi Leonard spraining his ankle and the Spurs blowing a huge lead in Game 1. Yesterday, Gregg Popovich went on an epic rant about Zaza Pachulia's supposedly dirty play on Kawhi, calling it dangerous and unsportsmanlike. It's now doubtful Kawhi will be on the court for tonight's Game 2. Colin, do you think Pop's tirade will help the Spurs?
No, and I think this is what happens. The Spurs are exactly what they plan to be. Smart and savvy teams are old. The Miami Heat team with LeBron got old, but it was really smart. Because Battier and Allen and Wade, if you look at smart NBA teams, they're not 24-year-olds. They're 28, 30, 31, 32. So San Antonio gets an injury to their best young athlete. You're the one that keeps going back for Manu. You're the one that keeps Tony Parker. You're the one that brought Pau Gasol in. This is what San Antonio is, a beat-up old team that lost their one good player, and they're freaking out. And they're playing a team now that has 4 stars all in their mid-20s. Like, I feel no sympathy for San Antonio. This is what you are.
Do you remember the Alamo?
I do.
That's what we're going to see tonight. Remember the Alamo. Pop has trying to inspire his team by going after Zaza. I think it's going to work for a time. I think this game will be competitive for a time. And if somehow they catch Golden State sleepwalking, which Golden State can do.
A lot.
They may pull the upset. Hey, Jonathan Simmons, I think, has played well against Golden State previously. I think this is a good rallying cry for Popovich and the Spurs. And they have I think this will have a bit of an impact emotionally. LaMarcus Aldridge will play well tonight. I think they got a small chance to keep it competitive.
Look, I think where it'll help, Pop is so respected and influential in the league that even if it's subconsciously, the referees will call the game a little bit differently. They'll get a favorable whistle, all right? But as far as the Spurs themselves, I don't think they need it. They're veterans. They've proven time and time again they play well without Kawhi. 7-1 in the regular season. We saw what they did to Houston without him.
14-4 in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they're better. They're not better without him. They'd have a better chance with him. But the Warriors know, do not take them lightly. All they have to do is put in that Houston film and say, this is what can happen to you if you don't take them seriously.
Well, I don't think that tirade is going to help them at all. For this reason, I think it's a day late. You know, I think it should have happened right when after the end of the game. It didn't seem authentic to me. Mm-hmm. It seemed like something that it was planned out. If you had all these facts that Zaza was a dirty player and you throw all these, you could say, I got tape that can show you. You do it that day. I think that motivates your team then.
Hold on.
I don't think
night. He can't gather all that information.
No, he can show you the next day, but tell you I got tape of it, and I will show you tomorrow the tape in the press conference. But he's a dirty player. He has a history of doing this. Look what he did to Kawhi. Look what he did to David West. Look what he also did to Patty Mills. He knew all those things, but he did not bring that to light until the next day, which to me made it seem authentic and kind of took away from the sting of what he really was trying to say. And at the end of the day, if that's what it takes to motivate the Spurs at this point, I mean, I think they're in a lot of trouble.
Well, listen, yeah, they're a veteran team, but every team needs some sort of motivation. When you've lost Tony Parker for the season. You've now lost Kawhi. Coaches will try motivational ploys and get something for you to rally around, even when you're a veteran team. And this, to me, makes sense. No one believes in us. They aren't rah-rah individuals, like, you know, the type that, like, emotional players where somebody saying that type. You're right that it's a good ploy, but I don't know that they need it. Their type of players seem different. Would you agree with Eddie, though? It was a calculated move by Pop. Oh, yeah, I agree with it. And I think it'll influence the referee.
That's what I think, too.
Not the players, the referee. So Pop believes it'll have some impact, or he wouldn't have done it.
I think he was directing that at the referees.
And the NBA, so they could get a favorable whistle. I agree with you on that. But it seemed like he was throwing in the towel a little bit to this series. And to your point, as far as
that was surprising.
When you lose a big-time player in 2009, we lost KG early in the season, and we end up losing in the second round to Orlando. Doc didn't have to give us any motivational speeches. We were motivated enough to say, hey, man, we got enough here to make it happen without the big fella. We was wrong. We was wrong. No, Doc is a great coach. Doc is a great coach. I'm sorry. I don't know where y'all getting at.
You know he's not Popovich, right?
There's a lot of rumors floating around, but he was one of my best coaches I've had. You know, him and Pat Riley.
I'm sorry for you.
And him, Pat Riley, and Rick Adelman are my three best coaches.
Oh my God, bro.
Adelman was a good coach.
I should bring my ring so you can see what we did with one time. That's what I need to do. Break my jewelry out, man.
You know Pat Riley's head just exploded. You compared him to Rick Adelman.
I didn't compare him to Rick Adelman.
This is the Speak for Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I am your host, Jason McIntyre. Folks, subscribe to our Apple podcast. We are also on SoundCloud and YouTube. And I'm going to leave you with this. It's Tuesday, not just Taco Tuesday, but Hot Take Happy Hour Tuesday. So turn one up while you think about this. Lonzo Ball should be the #1 pick in the draft. It's a slam dunk. You get a 41% three-point shooter. Guy led the country in assists, and this is the big one. He comes with a built-in audience. Everybody's going to be watching Lonzo Ball. Everybody's going to be buying his jersey. No offense to Markelle Fultz, Josh Jackson. They're great players. They're going to do well in the NBA, but the NBA is a business, and owners want to sell tickets, sell jerseys, have people coming into the arena, be on national TV, and Lonzo Ball accomplishes all of that. See you tomorrow.